The school auditorium was half full, the kind of half that felt more like emptiness. Students shuffled in their seats, chewing gum, giggling under their breath, already judging performances that hadn't even started. Every year, the talent tryouts brought drama, laughter, and a few real surprises. But this year, something else was brewing, and it started with a girl named Amara. She had never signed up, not officially. Her name wasn't even on the first list posted outside the music room. But to boys Drew and Kevin, the self-declared prank kings of 10th grade, had thought it would be funny. Amara, the quiet girl who sat near the window, who barely spoke in class, and always carried that beat-up sketchbook, had become their target. They forged her signature and submitted her name. Drew laughed as he told Kevin, "Let's see her mumble her way out of this." Kevin smirked, "If she even shows up." Amara found out 3 days later. The list had been reposted, now with printed names. Her eyes scanned down, not expecting to see hers. But there it was. Entry number 36. Amara Qureshi. Solo vocal. She blinked. For a second, she thought someone else shared her name. But it was hers. Exactly spelled like her ID card. Exactly like her late father used to write it on letters to her. The laughter behind her gave it away. Kevin leaned against a locker. "Didn't know you could sing, Amara," he said, smiling without warmth. She didn't reply. She turned and walked straight to the girls' washroom. Inside, her hands trembled. Her face flushed hot. Not because she was embarrassed, but because she had always wanted to sing. Secretly, quietly, never on a stage. Never in front of them. Her mother had taught her a lullaby once, back when they still lived in Karachi. That song stayed with her like breath. But in this school, this loud American school where she was already different enough, singing felt like exposing her whole soul. And now the prank had done it for her. At home, she stared at the sign-up list on her phone again and again. Solo vocal. Her heart beat faster every time she thought about it. Her mother noticed her silence during dinner. "You okay, Beta?" she asked gently. Amara nodded. But later, she stood in the mirror and whispered the words of the old lullaby. She sang them soft, slow, like prayer. She didn't know if she would go through with it, but something inside her stirred a mix of fear and possibility. The day of the tryouts arrived. The auditorium buzzed with teenage energy. Some kids came to watch, others to laugh. The teachers tried to stay neutral, holding clipboards, sipping coffee, pretending to be judges. One by one, students performed. Some sang pop songs. Others danced or recited poetry. Some forgot lyrics and ran off crying. A few nailed their acts and were met with thunderous applause. Amara sat in the back row, alone. Her fingers tapped her thigh, her breath shallow. Her name was still on the list. Entry number 36. No one had removed it. She thought about going home. She thought about pretending to be sick. But when entry number 35 was called, something strange happened. She stood up, walked down the aisle. The murmurs started immediately. "Wait, she's really gonna do it. She actually came. Watch this disaster." Kevin and Drew exchanged a look of amusement. They hadn't expected her to go through with it. She walked up the steps of the stage like she was walking a plank. The spotlight hit her like heat. She squinted. She could barely see the judges. She gripped the mic. The stage creaked under her feet. Someone coughed. Someone else laughed. She closed her eyes. Next, called the host, a senior student named Melissa, who didn't bother hiding her boredom. "Amara Qureshi. Solo folka more chuckles." Amara didn't look up. She brought the mic to her lips. And nothing came out. Silence. A few more snickers. Kevin whispered loudly. Guess she forgot how to breathe. She closed her eyes tighter. Her heart pounded so loud it became its own rhythm. And then, like a thread pulled from somewhere deep inside her chest, she sang. Not the American pop song she had prepared last night. Not the English lyrics she didn't fully connect with. She sang the lullaby, the one her mother sang to her when she couldn't sleep, the one her father used to hum under his breath. It was in Urdu, soft, raw, deep. The laughter stopped. Someone dropped their phone. One teacher lowered her clipboard. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. It floated. It curved through the auditorium like smoke, twisting around every student, every judge, every mocking face. The words were foreign to many, but the feeling wasn't. There was longing in her voice. And strength, grief too. The kind that makes your eyes sting without knowing why. No one moved. The room, which had been filled with noise all day, was frozen. Even Kevin's smirk faded. Drew's mouth hung open. The last note echoed for a moment, then vanished. Amara opened her eyes. The spotlight still blinded her. The silence stayed. She looked into the audience and thought maybe they hated it. Maybe it was too weird, too different to her. She handed the mic back and turned to walk off stage. The host didn't say anything. The judges didn't either. She made it to the first step down when it happened. A single clap, then two, then five, then the whole room. The sound of hands colliding, louder than anything before. Applause not for her confidence or her outfit or her surprise, but for her voice, because it had done something. It had made them stop, made them feel. Outside the auditorium, the air was cold. She leaned against the wall and let her breath calm. Her hands still shook, but not from fear, from something else. Like lightning still running through her. She didn't expect anyone to talk to her, but someone did. A girl she didn't know. Brown hair, freckles, soft voice. That was beautiful, the girl said. I didn't understand the words, but it felt like home. Amara blinked. Thank you, she whispered. She didn't know what else to say. Later that night, a student uploaded a clip of her performance, just 30 seconds, titled, "This girl made the whole room go silent." It got 42 likes in an hour, then 800, then 3,000. By morning, it crossed 100,000. Comments flooded in. Some were cruel. What language is that? Alien, go back to where you came from. But most weren't. I don't understand a word, but I'm crying. Who is she? Where can I hear more? This voice feels like it's from a movie. Amara didn't sleep that night. She sat in bed, reading every comment. Her mother came in at 3 a.m. and saw the lights still on. You okay? She asked. Amara nodded, showed her the video. Her mother watched in silence. Tears filled her eyes. That song, she said, placing a hand over her heart. You remembered. Amara smiled. I never forgot. The next day she was called to the principal's office. For a second, she thought maybe she had broken some rule. But Principal Matthews smiled. You've been requested to perform at the City Youth Gala next week, he said. A few community leaders were at the tryouts. They were impressed. Amara stared. Me? Yes, he said. And if you need any help with preparation, let us know. We'd like to support you. Support? That word felt strange. Knew she walked out of the office feeling taller. Not because of the invitation, but because something inside her had shifted. The voice she had hidden, the one they tried to turn into a joke, was no longer silent. It was starting to echo, and it wasn't done yet. As she walked past Kevin in the hallway, he looked down. Couldn't meet her eyes. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her voice had already spoken, but that was just the beginning. Because what started as a prank was now a spark that would soon set everything around her on fire. And some people, they were about to get burned. Amara walked down the hallway the next morning like a person reborn, but the feeling inside her was not simple. It was a strange mix of pride, confusion, and fear. Her performance had gone viral. Not viral like a few classmates whispering about it, but viral like 10,000 messages, emails from strangers, hashtags on social media she didn't even understand. She hadn't even posted it herself. Someone else had, and now the world seemed to be watching her. When she opened her locker, a small note had been stuck inside. It was handwritten, folded neatly, no name. It read, "You made the silence sing. Don't stop." She held the note in her hand for a long time. Someone cared. Someone saw her. But who? The halls felt different now. Students who never looked at her were now whispering in groups. Some smiled awkwardly when they passed her. A few tried to start conversations, but she didn't know how to respond. She wasn't used to being seen. She wasn't used to being wanted. Not like this. Not by strangers. Even teachers looked at her differently. Her English teacher gave her a compliment in class. Beautiful phrasing in your essay. Amara, like your voice? It speaks gently, but hits deep. She blushed, unsure whether to smile or hide. At lunch, she sat in her usual spot near the back wall. But she wasn't alone for long. A girl named Sarah from the drama club sat down beside her. Hey, she said, so, that song. I haven't stopped thinking about it. Was it something your mom taught you? Amara nodded. It's an old lullaby. It was like, I don't know, like time froze. Amara looked at her food, then back at Sarah. I was scared. Good, Sarah said. Means it mattered. Later that day, she was called to the auditorium again. Mr. Luis, the music teacher, stood near the stage with a clipboard. Amara, he said with a grin. You've caused quite a storm. She hesitated. Is that bad? He laughed. No, it's rare. Most people perform and disappear. You, on the other hand, woke something up. The organizers of the City Youth Gala saw the clip. They want you as the closing act. Her breath caught. Closing? Yes. The final performer. The spotlight. All eyes. She felt her knees weaken slightly. I don't know if I can. You already did, he said. Now you just have to do it again. Bigger. The City Youth Gala was no small event. Local officials, artists, influencers, even to former contestants from a national talent show would be there. The pressure felt unreal. Her mother helped her pick out an outfit. Simple, elegant. Don't try to look like them, she said. Let them see you. That night, Amara sat at her desk and stared at the song sheet. She wanted to sing something new. Something that still held her roots, but also spoke to the new world that had suddenly opened. She didn't sleep. She hummed. She scribbled lyrics. She rewrote verses. At sunrise, she had something. A song that started in Urdu and flowed into English, a bridge between two worlds. Hers. The week before the gala, Kevin approached her. She was getting books from her locker when he appeared beside her. Hey, he said too casually. Amara, she stiffened. What, he scratched his neck, glanced around. I just wanted to say sorry. About the whole sign-up thing. She didn't answer. He continued. I mean, you were great. I didn't expect that. She closed her locker slowly. Why would you sign me up if you didn't expect me to sing? He looked down. It was a joke. We didn't think you'd actually, be good, she finished for him. He nodded, ashamed. Well, she said, calm but firm, you were right. I almost didn't. Then she walked away. He didn't follow. And for once, he didn't laugh. The day of the gala arrived. Her mother braided her hair in the morning, her fingers steady, her voice full of quiet encouragement. "You are your father's daughter," she whispered. "He would be proud." Amara nodded, trying not to cry. The event was held in a grand hall downtown. Big lights, velvet curtains, hundreds of seats. She stood backstage in a long black dress with silver thread that shimmered like stars. Her name was last on the program list. As the evening went on, she peeked from the curtain. There were dancers, spoken word artists, singers, rappers, violinists. The crowd clapped for all, cheered for some, but no one had made them go silent. Not yet. The host, a tall woman in a red suit, stepped to the mic. "And now," she said, "our final performer of the night. Please welcome Amara Qureshi." The applause was soft. Most people didn't know who she was yet. She stepped out, blinded by the lights again, her palms sweaty, her heart threatening to leave her chest. But her voice, it remembered. She took a deep breath and sang. This time she didn't close her eyes. She looked right into the crowd. Her voice was soft, like before, but stronger now, confident. The words danced from one language to another, starting in Urdu, flowing into English, blending like watercolors. It wasn't just a song. It was her story, her journey, her pain, her pride. Every word built something, a bridge, a moment, a memory. And again, the room froze. You could hear nothing but her voice. And when she stopped, it was like someone broke a spell. There was a pause. Then, like thunder, applause erupted, louder than anything before. People stood, some clapped, others wiped their eyes. Backstage, Mr. Luis had tears in his own. "You didn't just sing," he said. "You changed the room." Her phone buzzed constantly for the next 2 days. Invitations, offers, interviews. Everyone wanted to talk to the girl with the voice. But something else was happening too. Someone had started a rumor online, a comment that caught fire. Her voice was edited. That's why it sounds so unreal. No one sings like that live. At first, she laughed it off. But more followed. She's lip-syncing. Bet she's just a face. It's all playback. Even some classmates began to whisper again. This time not mocking her directly but doubting her. It hurt more than the silence before. No one believed in her. Now, some did, but others thought she was a lie. She wanted to scream, but she didn't. She waited, listened, read every cruel comment, let it sink in, and then decided she would respond. Not with words, not online, but on stage. Again, her music teacher suggested doing a live performance in front of the whole school. No mic tricks, no editing, no playback. Let them hear you raw, he said. She agreed. The principal approved. A date was set. The auditorium, the same one where it all began, filled quickly. This time, everyone came. Not for a joke, but for truth. She walked on stage, holding a wireless mic, then handed it to the host. "I don't need it," she said softly. Her voice, unfiltered, filled the room. No one moved. No one laughed, and when she was done, there was no rumor left, only silence. And then, standing ovation, real loud, unshakable. She had been set up as a joke, but her voice, heard real, living voice, had become something else. A mirror, a weapon, a light. And those who doubted her were starting to realize they hadn't seen anything yet. Amara sat by the window that night, holding her guitar loosely across her lap. The strings weren't tuned. She wasn't playing. She was thinking. Her fingers rested on the wood like they were afraid to move. The live performance had cleared. The rumors? No more whispers about autotune, no more doubts. The applause from the school still echoed in her ears, louder than the online noise ever could be. But now that the silence had returned, a strange emptiness followed. She had dreamed of being heard, and now that she wasn't sure what to say next. The problem with proving yourself is that people then expect more, louder, bigger, braver. Her inbox was full of messages, some kind, some desperate, some offering deals. A music scout from New York wanted to develop her brand. A podcast host from London wanted her to sing live. An anonymous producer claimed they could make her global, but none of them knew her. None of them knew what it had cost to sing those first notes in front of people who had laughed at her for months. Her mother knocked lightly and walked in with a glass of warm milk. She didn't speak at first. She just sat down beside Amara. "You are quiet tonight," she said, gently. Amara nodded. "Everyone wants something now. They didn't even see me before." Her mother looked at her for a moment, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded photograph. It was worn, creased at the edges. She handed it to Amara. "This was your father," she said. "Before we came here." Amara studied the photo. Her father was standing in a small radio booth, headphones around his neck, smiling at something outside the frame. "He was a technician, not a singer," her mother said, "but he understood sound. He always told me, you can feel truth in a voice, even when you don't understand the words." Amara touched the photo carefully. "Did he ever hear me sing?" "Once," her mother said. "You were 3. You sang the same lullaby back to me." He stood in the hallway and cried. They sat in silence for a while. The only sound was a light breeze tapping the window pane. Then, Amara spoke. "I want to sing something new, something real, not just beautiful, but true." Her mother smiled. Then don't wait. You don't need permission. You already have a voice. The next day, Amara skipped lunch. She went straight to the music room. She picked the piano, even though she wasn't great at it. She hit single notes, slowly, and then hummed along. She let her memories become lyrics. Her pain, her past. Her father's voice, her mother's worry, the laughter in the hallways, the silence after her first note. By the time the bell rang, she had a chorus. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She titled the song Stand Still. That night, she asked Mr. Luis if she could perform it at the local open mic night. He raised an eyebrow. Original song. She nodded. You sure you're ready? No, she said. But I'm still going. The venue was small, tucked between two coffee shops. The stage was just a wooden platform with one mic and one spotlight. No crowd screaming, no giant lights, just 20 folding chairs, and a quiet buzz of people sipping tea and waiting for something beautiful. Her name was called Next Up Amara Qureshi with an original piece. She stepped up. The guitar strap slid onto her shoulder. Her hands were cold, but her voice was ready. She didn't speak. She played. The first chord was soft, unsure, but the second one knew where it was going. Her voice entered like a whisper. You didn't want to miss. The lyrics told the story of someone pushed to the edge of silence, then choosing not to jump but to sing. It was about stillness, and how sometimes you had to stand still to hear your own heart. The room didn't just listen. It leaned in. One woman in the front row covered her mouth. A man in the back wiped his eyes. And when she sang the final line asterisk, I was born to be quiet, but I was not born to be invisible, asterisk. The entire place went quiet for one full second before they clapped. Loud, real, like they had seen something rare. After the performance, a woman in her 30s approached Amara. She had red glasses and a scarf that looked like she made it herself. I book acts for regional music festivals, she said. Would you be interested in performing next month? Amara hesitated. Do I have to sing in English? The woman laughed. Sing in fire if you want. Just don't stop. That night, Amara posted a small clip of the performance on her own profile. No filters, no hashtags, just the video and one sentence. Thank you for letting me be loud. It got over 500,000 views in 3 days. But more important than the numbers were the messages. One came from a girl in Brazil. I don't speak Urdu, but I play your song every day. It's like it understands me. Another from a boy in Kenya. I played your voice for my sister. She hasn't spoken since our father died, but she smiled when you sang. But not everyone was smiling. Drew and Kevin watched her rise with growing discomfort. They had started a joke. Now it was out of their control. She's acting like some kind of queen, Kevin muttered in the cafeteria. People forget she couldn't even say hello last year without freezing. Drew was quiet. He didn't speak as much anymore. Partly guilt, partly fear. But Kevin wasn't done. He pulled out his phone, opened an app. Let's see how confident she stays if we shake her a little. Later that night, a video was posted from an anonymous account. It was an old clip of Amara in 8th grade, trying to sing at a class function. Her voice cracked. She forgot the lyrics. She ran off stage, crying. The caption read, The Real Amara, before she got famous. The video spread fast. Cruel comments returned. She's fake. What happened to this version? Guess autotune really does magic. Amara saw the video before anyone warned her. She froze. Not because it hurt, though it did, but because it was true. That was her. Lost, nervous, not ready. Her mother saw her face and knew something was wrong. Another rumor, she asked. Amara shook her head. A truth. She walked to her room, closed the door, and sat down. She watched the video again. Then she opened her laptop. She recorded a new video. No makeup, no music, just her face. She looked into the camera. This was me, she said. Scared, ashamed, not good enough. I was trying, and I failed, but I didn't stop. So if you think this video makes me weak, you're wrong. It proves I fought for every note you hear now, and I'm not done yet. She clicked upload. The video exploded. Not because of production or sound, but because it was raw, honest. It hit 1 million views in less than 48 hours. Celebrities reposted it. News outlets wrote headlines like Teenage singer faces trolls with bravery and wins. Kevin deleted the original clip. He didn't confess. But deep down, he knew his joke had created a storm. And now that storm was no longer afraid of lightning. Amara wasn't just a voice anymore. She was a story, a journey, a mirror to anyone who'd ever been laughed at and still dared to speak. In the world it had only just begun to listen. Amara walked through the school gate with her earbuds in, but no music played. She just needed silence, her silence. The school was buzzing, and not just because of exams or weather changes. It was because of her. Again, everywhere she went, eyes followed. Some warm, some curious, some still skeptical. But the weight of being seen, all the time, was starting to wear her down. She had wanted to be heard, not watched. There was a difference. Her teachers treated her like she was delicate. Now, friends were appearing out of nowhere, and some classmates who used to laugh at her now acted like they always believed in her. It was confusing. She didn't know what to trust anymore. And trust, to Amara, meant everything. At lunch, Sarah sat next to her like always. She placed a little folded paper on the table. "What's this?" Amara asked. "Read it later," Sarah said with a small smile. Then she got up and left to grab something from the vending machine. Amara opened it under the table. It wasn't a note, it was lyrics. A poem, really. About fear. About voices breaking before they become music. It made her throat tighten. Sarah hadn't said much, but in that moment, she had said enough. Someone understood. That evening, Amara sat on her bedroom floor, the paper beside her, her guitar resting on her knee. She tried to turn the words into a melody, but something inside her felt stuck. She was tired. Too many comments. Too many headlines. She scrolled through her phone without purpose, her fingers moving but her brain distant. Then a headline caught her eye. Young vocalist Amara Qureshi nominated for State Talent Award. She blinked. She hadn't even applied. Her school must have done it. Her name was next to 3 other rising talents, 2 boys with classical training and a girl from an elite private school who had already released an EP. Amara felt her chest tighten. They were trained, prepared, connected, and she was just her. She didn't know whether to smile or panic. The next morning, Mr. Luis called her to his office. "Congratulations," he said, waving the printed nomination email. "This is real. You'll be performing in front of national scouts, mentors, and a full media panel. It's a serious platform." She tried to smile. "I didn't apply." "We did. Your performance at the gala caught the state committee's eye. They asked for recommendations." She nodded slowly. "You've got 2 weeks to prepare," he continued. "Choose something that shows your voice and your story. Don't try to impress them. Move them." That night, she sat alone, trying to write, but nothing came. Every line felt forced. Every melody felt fake. She slammed her notebook shut and leaned back, frustrated. Her mother peeked in. "Writer's block," Amara nodded. "Nothing sounds like me anymore." Her mother walked in, picked up the guitar, and strummed 3 gentle chords. "When I was a girl," she said, "your grandmother told me when the pen feels heavy, write with your heart instead." Amara chuckled softly. "Sounds poetic." "It's also true," her mother replied. "Don't chase beauty. Chase truth." Amara stayed up until 3 a.m. that night. She didn't write a full song, just 1 line, but it felt real. "I'm not singing to be seen. I'm singing to remember who I am." She built around that, slowly, day by day. The melody was slower than usual, but powerful, gentle but unshakable. And the lyrics didn't rhyme perfectly, but they rang. Like memory. 2 days before the state performance, the pressure doubled. News broke that one of the other contestants was the son of a famous music producer. The media loved the story. Headlines screamed privilege and praise. "A star in the making," one article called him. Another interview showed him practicing. In a soundproof studio with 6 coaches, Amara closed the tab. Her studio was her bedroom. Her coach was her courage. But still, the doubt crept in. She wasn't prepared for the message that came next. It arrived in her inbox. No subject, no name. Just a short video. She clicked it. It was a clip from the open mic night, her performance of Stand Still. Only the audio was edited, badly. Her voice had been pitched to sound off-key. The caption on the video said, "She fooled you all." Her hands froze. Her breath went shallow. Someone was trying to break her again. The account had no profile picture, but the username looked familiar. She searched it. A side account? Empty. Except that video. She had a strong feeling who had sent it, but no proof. And even if it was Kevin or someone like him, what would she do? Respond? Esposi? Ignori? Instead, she picked up her phone and called Sarah. "Can you come over?" she asked. 20 minutes later, Sarah was sitting on her floor, watching the video. "Wow," she whispered. "They really tried it." Amara nodded. "I don't know what to do." Sarah looked at her. "Do what you've always done. Sing like they never existed." Amara didn't speak for a while. Then she got up. She opened her closet and pulled out a small cloth box she hadn't touched in years. Inside were her father's old notes, his sketches, radio repair manuals, and a small tape recorder. She clicked it. Static, then a voice. His voice. "If you're listening, it means you found the courage to be loud." She covered her mouth. Stunned, the tape continued. "Whatever the world throws at you, remember noise is temporary. Truth is louder." The performance day arrived. The state event was held in a grand theater with cameras, judges, lights, and rows of important people. Amara stood backstage in a simple white dress with no glitter, no backup dancers, no spotlight crew, just her guitar. The host called her name. She walked on stage slowly, the hum of conversation falling away as she stepped into the light. She sat on a stool, adjusted the mic, and looked at the crowd. Then she said, "This song is for anyone who was ever told they weren't enough. It's called I Remember Me." Then she sang. The song began with her father's voice from the old tape. The static, then the sentence. "You found the courage to be loud." Then her guitar joined in. Then her voice clear, deep, full of feeling. The first verse told the story of her old self, the girl afraid to speak, the girl others mocked. The chorus was simple but haunting. "I remember me, in silence and shame, but I sing now, louder than blame." The room listened, not like an audience but like witnesses. She wasn't just singing, she was testifying. When she finished, there was no pause this time. The applause was instant. Judges rose. People clapped. One even cried. A few minutes later, backstage, a woman with a press badge ran up to her. "We need to talk," she said. "I've been covering this event for 8 years. I've never seen the judges stand before." Amara smiled politely, then excused herself. She needed quiet. Outside, she found a bench under a tree. She sat down and looked up at the sky. No one was laughing anymore. No one was doubting. But even with all the noise, she finally felt peace. Her phone buzzed. A new message, from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "You won tonight?" She stared at the screen, then typed back. "No, I just remembered who I am." She stared at the email for the 100th time. It didn't look real. The subject line was short. "You're invited to sing." No fancy logos, no dramatic wording, just a date, a time, and a location. A charity gala. Big names were performing, and somehow, she was on the list. But her name was written in small print, right below the main acts, almost like a footnote. Her hands trembled as she showed the screen to her mother. Her mother's eyes widened. "Do you want to do this?" She nodded. "Even if they don't really want me there." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then give them a reason to regret underestimating you." In the days leading up to the event, her nerves tangled tighter. She practiced nonstop. Morning, to night. Her voice felt raw, not just from effort, but from emotion. She remembered the laughs, the whispering, the fake claps, the smirks from the back row. That memory still stung. But now, she carried it like fuel. Her brother helped her rehearse. Every time she doubted herself, he said the same thing. "They didn't hear your loudest note yet." It became her anchor. The gala night arrived. She stepped out of the car wearing a borrowed dress and a second-hand coat. Reporters didn't even glance her way. Cameras flashed for the stars ahead of her. No one recognized her, and that was fine. The hall was massive. Golden lights, velvet seats, celebrities laughing in corners. She was led backstage, where a busy crew barely looked at her. "You're the warm-up, right?" someone asked. She nodded. "Yeah, just before the main event." "Keep it short," he said, not even waiting for her answer. She stood behind the curtain, staring at the red velvet. Her name was announced. With little fanfare, no bio, no hype. "Please welcome our next performer, ... And then her name, rushed and nearly mispronounced. She stepped out. The room kept talking. Glasses clinked. People whispered. One man even laughed. "Who is this kid?" She walked to the mic. It squeaked. She adjusted it. Her heart pounded. She looked into the crowd. None of them were looking at her. The spotlight hit her face. It felt too bright. She cleared her throat. Then suddenly darkness, a complete blackout. The lights above flickered, then died. The giant screens went off. The mics cut. A strange silence fell across the room. Then whispers. What happened? Power. Failure. A nervous crew member shouted, "Hold tight, backup's coming." She stood there, invisible now, in the dark. And then something inside her whispered, "Sing." She took a deep breath. And sang. No mic, no lights, no backup. Her voice alone filled the hall. The first note hung in the air long, trembling, aching. People turned. Conversations stopped. Forks were lowered. The sound wasn't loud, but it was alive, raw, unfiltered. Her voice climbed, breaking through the silence. No speakers, no auto-tune, just her and the room. And the room started to feel smaller, tighter, like everyone was holding their breath. Even the servers froze in their tracks. She sang a song no one had heard before. She wrote it 2 days ago. It wasn't fancy. It was honest. It spoke of being overlooked, of standing in the shadow, of finding light anyway. She wasn't trying to impress. She wasn't even trying to win. She was just telling her truth. Word by word, note by note. The darkness made it clearer, made it cleaner. People could only listen. No distractions, no blinking lights, just a voice. When she reached the last line, something happened. Someone clapped. Then another. Then the whole room. The lights came back. The stage lit up again. She was standing there, tears in her eyes, breath short. People stood, a standing ovation. She looked at the front row and there he was. One of the judges from her school tryout. The one who looked down on her. He stood too, but his face was pale, shocked as if he couldn't believe what he'd heard. She walked off stage. A producer chased after her. Who wrote that song? She looked at him. Me. You wrote it. Yes. We need to talk. She didn't respond. Not yet. In the dressing room, her hands still shook. Her mother was there, smiling softly, holding a tissue in one hand and her coat in the other. You were the only light in that blackout, she whispered. Later that night. The event's host tweeted about it. Power went out tonight, but a girl's voice made it feel like stars were still shining. Whoever you are, you're unforgettable. The tweet exploded. Everyone was asking, who is she? The media tried to find clips, but there was nothing. No one had recorded it. There were no cameras running during the blackout. Only ears. Only hearts. People who were there described it like a dream. A ghost voice. Like the walls were singing. She reminded me why I love music. But the girl didn't post about it. She didn't even open her phone. She sat in her room. In the dark, holding her guitar, whispering to herself. They heard me, really heard me. Then a knock. She opened the door. A woman stood there, elegant, famous, one of the main acts from the gala. A singer the world loved. She smiled. May I come in? The girl stepped aside. The woman sat down and said, that wasn't a song. That was survival, and I want to help you take it further. The girl looked down. I'm not sure I belong in that world. The woman leaned closer. You already do. They just don't know it yet. Before she left, the woman said one last thing. The next time you sing, make sure the lights are on. Let them see the face behind the voice that stopped their world. As the door closed, the girl looked out the window. Below. A crowd had gathered. No signs. No chants. Just quiet faces, waiting. They had heard a voice in the dark and now they wanted to know the soul behind it. And upstairs, the girl picked up her pen. A new song began, but downstairs, someone else watched too. The jealous one. The one who smiled at her last week and whispered, you'll never last. He watched the crowd from his car. He saw the people pointing at her window, and he said, let's see how long this little light lasts. He started typing. A blog post? A headline? Something that would plant a doubt, because sometimes, not everyone claps out of love. And the voice that rises too fast always draws a storm. The article dropped at midnight. No warning, no author name. Just a shadow account known for gossip and unfiltered truths. The headline was brutal. Fake voice. Charity gala singer accused of lip-syncing in the dark. It spread like wildfire. Social media platforms lit up. Was it even her voice? No mic, no power, yet she sounded perfect. Doesn't add up. Some defended her, but many doubted. Because people don't always believe miracles, they search for tricks. By morning, the hashtags were trending. Hashtag gala, mystery girl. Hashtag voice in the dark. Hashtag real or rigged. The crowd outside her apartment doubled, but the tone changed. It wasn't just awe anymore. It was curiosity, suspicion, and something darker. Mockery. Creeping back, she sat on her bed holding her phone. Frozen. The messages from strangers were overwhelming. Some were kind, others were cruel. Just another fame-hungry wannabe. Probably had a speaker under the stage. Nobody sings that perfect without practice. And she was a nobody. Her throat tightened. It felt like that classroom again. The eyes, the whispers, the quiet humiliation. She didn't cry. She just closed the phone and stared at the wall. Her mother knocked softly. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Baby, don't let their noise dim your sound. Maybe they're right, she whispered. Maybe it was too good to be real. Her mother sat beside her. But you lived it. You know the truth. It doesn't matter if they don't. Believe it. An invitation arrived that afternoon. A major daytime talk show, live, unedited. The host's message was simple. The world is confused. Come clear the air. Sing again. She hesitated. The last time she sang live, it wasn't recorded. This time every eye, every mic, every camera would be watching. Her brother paced behind her. You have to go. You must. Not for them. For you. Don't let some troll take this away. She nodded slowly, but her stomach ached with fear. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept imagining the cameras, the judges, the millions watching, waiting for her to crack. She wrote nothing. She sang nothing. She just sat by the window, clutching her notebook, feeling like a fraud in a world she barely stepped into. The next day came too fast. They sent a black car, a stylist, a producer. Her name was on the schedule now, but not as special guest. The screen read, Girl Behind the Voice Hoax, or Hero. That stung deep. But she smiled. She wore her plainest clothes. No makeup, no glitter. When the host saw her backstage, he said gently, This is your stage. Just be you. That's what they're afraid of, she replied, when she walked on stage. The applause was scattered. Some polite, some unsure. The host welcomed her warmly. The world's been talking, but you haven't. Why stay silent? She looked at the audience, then the cameras, because sometimes, no one listens when you tell the truth. They only hear when you perform it. The crowd leaned in. Did you lip-sync? The host asked directly. She didn't flinch. No. Then prove it. Silence. She stepped to the mic. It stood tall and sharp under the bright light. No blackout. This time, no mystery. Just her. She took a deep breath and sang a new song. Short, slow, but painful. It wasn't about fame. It was about doubt. How it sneaks into your dreams. How it whispers in your ear louder than applause ever could. How it makes you question even the things you felt with your own skin. The last line hit hard. They heard me in the dark, but now I must fight to be believed in the light. There was no music, no backing track, just her voice. The room went still, then a roar. The audience stood. The host stood. The applause shook the set. Even the crew in the back clapped. After the show, her clip went viral again, but this time with proof. No shadows, no excuses. She was real. More interviews came, magazines, podcasts, even a small record label reached out. Her brother hugged her in the hallway, spinning her in circles. You did it. They know now. She smiled, but the weight didn't lift. Because that night someone sent a message, no name, just text, sing all you want. But we both know how. It really started Let's see what they say when they hear about that. She froze. It wasn't just hate, it was personal. Someone from the past. Someone who knew. She stared at the screen. What were they talking about? And then she remembered the first song. The melody? It wasn't fully hers. Not at the start a year ago. In a dusty garage, she had borrowed a tune from someone she trusted. A quiet boy who shared music but never wanted credit. He told her, "You take it, it sounds better when you sing it." It was just a few chords. Just a whisper of a melody. But she built her entire voice on it, and now it was coming back. The next day, she searched for him. His name was Noah, a classmate. A shy musician. Always in the background, she found his number. Texted no, reply. She checked online. Nothing. Then a comment under her newest video caught her eye. It said, "She never thanked the one who wrote her first song." Typical. It was signed, N. Her heart. Noah. He wasn't asking for money. Or fame. He was asking for the truth. And maybe even revenge. Her mother saw her pacing. What's wrong? I might have stolen someone's light. Before I even knew I had my own. Outside fans chanted her name. But inside her soul felt off-key. Because what if this was never truly hers, and now he wanted the world to know? A truth that could unmake everything. The spotlight was finally hers. She sat by her window, staring at the message from Noah like it had teeth. The short sentence echoed louder than a scream. Let's see what they say when they hear about that. Her breath caught. Bet melody, just a few simple notes. The beginning of her first real song was his. She never meant to steal. She never even thought of it that way. But now, with the whole world watching, with contracts, labels, deals forming in the shadows, it looked like theft, sounded like betrayal. Her mind spun in circles. She picked up the phone 10 times, then dropped it again. What would she say? That she forgot. That she thought he didn't care. That she never imagined any of this would happen. She finally texted, "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Please, can we talk?" No reply. The next morning, his words were everywhere. Not through the press, but through music. Noah uploaded a track online titled "My Silence Was the Start." The cover art was a sketch of a girl with a glowing throat and a missing heart. The lyrics were subtle, but the message was clear. She sang my silence. She climbed with my chords. And when the lights hit her, she forgot the one who played in the dark. The comments exploded. Is this about her? Was the voice we loved born from someone else? She stole his music. Her name began to shift in tone again. From miracle to manipulator. From survivor to suspect. The record label paused. "We need clarity," they said coldly. Was the melody yours? She wanted to say yes, but she couldn't. Not fully. Her brother was furious. You built everything. You made it your own. You lived it. A few notes. Don't erase that. But her mother said something else. Even if the world forgives confusion, the heart doesn't forget silence. She knew what she had to do. It hurt. It was humiliating. But it was right. She went online. No PR team. No lawyer. Just her. Live raw. She looked into the camera. I didn't steal a song. But I forgot where it started. And that's almost as bad. Noah gave me a piece of music when no one else gave me anything. I built my sound from it. I didn't know it would carry me here. But now that it has, I won't pretend it was all mine. Because it wasn't. She paused. Her hand shook. I've invited Noah to meet me. Not in court. Not on stage. But somewhere only music exists. And if he's willing, I want the world to know we both sang that first note. Together. The clip went viral. But this time, it wasn't about anger. It was about truth. Real, bleeding truth. People cried watching it. Others debated, but something shifted. She wasn't running from the story, she was rewriting it. The next evening, she waited at a tiny cafe that hosted open mic nights. She didn't know if he would come. The stage was quiet, the room half empty. Then she saw him. Noah, same quiet eyes, same tangled hair, but colder now, older. He walked in slowly. She stood. Thank you for coming. He didn't smile. You didn't have to go public. I did. You gave me more than chords. You gave me courage. And I forgot that. He stared at her for a long time. I never wanted fame. I just wanted to know you remembered. I do now. I always will. They sat, for the first time in years. They spoke about school, music, silence, and how the world sometimes spins too fast to remember where it started. She asked if he would play with her, not for the media, not for the crowd. Just one more time like before, he agreed. That night, under soft lights, in a room of maybe 20 people, they sang together. A new song, one they wrote together on napkins and half-formed memories. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. The next day, someone uploaded the clip. Again, it caught fire. She came back to where it all began. Two souls. One sound? Realer than anything you'll find on stage. The record label called again. We want to sign both of you. Her eyes widened. Both. Your story is bigger than one voice. It's harmony now. Noah was stunned. I didn't expect this. She smiled. Neither did I, but maybe it's what we both deserve. They signed together? As co-writers, co-creators, co-creators, the past finally at peace. But peace doesn't last forever. A week later, as they left a studio session, a man in a security jacket walked up to her with a sealed envelope. You've been served. He said flatly. She blinked. What? The paper inside was heavy, the words colder than ice. Defamation, breach of contract, intent to mislead, filed by the original talent scout who had booked her at the gala, the one who laughed when she auditioned, the one who tried to humiliate her. Now he wanted a piece of her rise. He claimed the darkroom performance was his idea, that he created the environment, that without his marketing plan, her story would have died. He wanted credit, royalties, control. Her brother shouted at the letter, he abandoned you. He was part of the joke. But her mother said something, deeper now that you shine. Everyone wants to say they lit the match. Her lawyer advised her to settle quietly, but she couldn't, because this wasn't just about money now. This was about ownership of her sound, her journey, her truth. She stood in the same courtroom where her father once lost everything. But this time, she wasn't silent. She testified, told them everything. From the laugh in the hallway, to the blackout, to the broken mic, to the moment she sang in the dark, not for fame, but to survive the humiliation. Her voice didn't shake. Not once. When the verdict came, it echoed like a final chorus. Claim dismissed. No rights assigned to performance by the defendant. She won. Again. Not just the case, but her freedom. The media called it the trial of the voice, but she called it something else. The moment her silence became power, she walked out of the courtroom into a sea of microphones, and whispered one line. I used to sing because no one heard me. Now I sing so others can be heard. But in the back of the crowd, a new face watched her quietly. Not a critic, not a fan, someone else. A man in a gray hat, eyes hidden, holding a photo, her childhood photo. From the foster home, he didn't speak, just smiled, and disappeared into the street, and for the first time since it all began, she wasn't sure who was listening anymore. She didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. Her phone buzzed nonstop with congratulations, booking offers, interview requests, but her mind was trapped somewhere else. That man, the one with the gray hat, the photo in his hand, wasn't a coincidence. It was her. Maybe age 7, holding a recorder in front of a rusted gate. There was only one place that photo could have come from. The group home she had never spoken about publicly. She hadn't even told Noah, not fully. It wasn't shame, it was protection. Some parts of her childhood didn't feel like memories. They felt like wounds she had learned to walk around. Until now. The next morning, she returned to the place. Same chipped walls, same half-burned sign, Hope House. Only now it was empty. Shut down 2 years ago. She walked slowly through the rusted gates, her fingers tracing the name carved into the post, her name. Tiny letters. She had done that, once with a broken pen cap. Right after her mother left her there, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned quickly. He was there, the man in the gray hat. Closer. This time, older, wrinkled, but something familiar in his eyes. He spoke softly. I didn't mean to scare you. She narrowed her eyes. You were holding a picture of me. He nodded. Yes. Because I took it? She blinked. What? I worked here, he said. Long ago. Music volunteer. Once a week. Most kids ran away from the old tape recorder. But not you. Her chest tightened. I remember. The man with the guitar. You made up songs about clouds. He smiled. You remembered. She couldn't breathe for a second. Why now? Why come find me? He looked at her gently. Because your voice has always been powerful, but now it's loud enough to reach the ones who thought you were forgotten. She stepped closer. What do you mean? He pulled something from his coat, a dusty envelope. You should read this. Inside a letter, yellowed, folded, her own handwriting, shaky small. To the man who taught me to sing, even when no one clapped. I hope you don't forget me. I won't forget you. She covered her mouth. I never forgot, he said. I left music for a long time. Life got hard. But when I saw you on the screen, standing in the dark, singing like the whole world owed you its ears, I knew I had to find you, to say thank you. She sat on the old steps, tears on her cheeks. You were the first person to make me feel like I wasn't broken. He sat beside her. And you're the first to prove that silence isn't the end of a story. It's just a verse waiting for its chorus. She turned to him slowly. Do you still play? He chuckled. My fingers are slower, but they remember. She pulled out her phone. Come with me. He hesitated. Where? To my next concert. You're opening, he laughed. I haven't played in 20 years. She stood. Then it's time. That night, the stage looked different, not because of the lights, or the crowd, but because of who stood on it before her. A man with shaky fingers, a warm smile, and a story in every chord. He played one song, just one, but the silence that followed was louder than thunder. The crowd stood not because he was famous, but because they felt something. Then she came out. No backup dancers, no smoke, just her. She sang the song they first wrote together, the one from the cafe, but halfway through, she stopped. I have something to say. The crowd fell quiet. She pointed to the man behind her. He taught me music isn't about perfection, it's about permission. Permission to feel, to cry, to break, and to rise. She looked into the lights. I used to be afraid of the dark. Now, I run toward it because that's where I first found my voice. The applause didn't stop. Days passed. Her fame grew, but something else grew too. Her purpose. She began visiting youth centers. Talking to girls who hid their poems, boys who rapped in notebooks, kids who didn't think their sound mattered. She told them the same thing. Your voice doesn't need a spotlight. It needs a reason. And slowly a movement formed. They called it Echo Room, a space online where unheard voices could upload their stories, not for likes, but for listening. It exploded from underground rappers in Karachi, to a deaf poet in Brazil who spoke through rhythm and hand taps, to a boy in Detroit who mixed classical violin with trap beats. The world was listening because one girl refused to let silence define her. But just when she thought the circle had closed, she received a package. No sender name. Inside, a burnt CD. Labeled in thick, black marker, 1997, Hope House Archives. She blinked, put it in her old player. Static, then a voice. Hers. 7 years old. Singing. A lullaby she didn't remember, but someone else was singing with her. A woman, soft, tender, broken. Her heart stopped. She replayed it, over and over. Her mother. She knew that voice. She had only one memory of her singing before the day she vanished. The next week, she hired a private investigator. It took months, but finally. News: a woman found in a small shelter, upstate, lost, struggling but alive. She took a breath and walked into the quiet hallway of the home, and there she was. Older, eyes sunken, but the same nose, same hands. Her mother looked up. Time paused. Then I always knew you'd sing, she whispered. They held each other, no applause, no cameras. Just two souls trying to find their way back. That night, they sat under a single bulb in the shelter. She hummed the lullaby, and for the first time since that old darkroom performance, her voice cracked. Not because she was nervous, but because it was full. Full of every silence, every memory, every crack in her story that let light pour through. Years later, when people asked her what her proudest moment was, she never mentioned the awards, the headlines, or the viral clips. She always said, that night at the shelter, when my mother and I remembered the song we never finished, that was the night. My voice didn't just echo, it healed. She became a legend, but not because she was perfect. She was honest, and in a world full of noise, her honesty made everyone freeze, even the ones who once laughed, even the ones who tried to take credit, even the ones who left, because when she sang, she wasn't trying to be heard anymore. She was trying to make others feel seen, and that's why her voice never be forgotten, not ever. She was standing backstage again, but this time, it wasn't for a performance. It was for something else, something bigger than any stage she had ever stood on. A massive banner hung behind the velvet curtain. The Echo Summit, voices from the shadows. The auditorium was filled with thousands young singers, poets, rappers, storytellers, some in suits, some in hoodies, many with fear in their eyes, but fire in their chests. It had been her idea, born from a simple question. What if the people who were never heard got the mic first? The team had warned her it was risky. These aren't professionals. What if no one shows up? What if they freeze? What if it's chaos? But she didn't care. Because once, she was one of them. Once, she froze, and someone waited. So now, it was her turn to wait for them. The curtains lifted, the lights dimmed, and she didn't speak first. Instead, a girl named Ania, 15, walked to the mic, hijab wrapped tightly, hands trembling. She whispered a poem she had written on the back of a grocery receipt, about her father being deported, about her silence at school, about how every birthday candle she blew out. She wished for her voice to stop shaking. When she finished, there was silence. Then, a standing ovation. One by one, they came up. A boy from the Bronx who beatboxed through stutters, a blind girl from South Africa who played chords based on vibrations she felt through her feet, a trans teenager from Manila who rewrote a pop song to include both his dead name and real name, made the crowd cry. And she just watched, tears behind the curtains. Because this was the dream, not the fame, not the claps. This raw, real, untrained power. Later, when it was finally her turn, she walked onto the stage. No makeup, no glam team, just a plain black tee and sneakers. She didn't sing. She sat on the floor cross-legged, mic on her lap. Then, she said quietly, I was once told that my voice was too soft, that it would never fill a room, that people like me don't belong on album covers, that I was just a viral mistake. She looked up. But if I was a mistake, then today is a miracle. The crowd clapped. She held up her hand gently. Don't want to sing today. I want to listen. She passed the mic to the front row and walked off stage. The entire arena gasped. No star had ever done that, but she didn't need the spotlight anymore. That night, clips of the event went viral, but not of her. Of them, of those voices. Echo Summit started trending worldwide. People called it a revolution, but something darker was stirring too, behind the curtains. In corners of the internet, voices began mocking. Again, she's just trying to be a savior. She got her fame, now she's milking pity. Echo Room is a PR stunt. And then an anonymous article dropped, with screenshots, leaked documents, claiming the Echo Room platform had accepted funding from a shady media conglomerate known for manipulating trends and using grassroots movements for profit. She was stunned, had no idea. She gathered her team. Is this true? One of the executives looked down. They offered back-end support. We thought it was harmless, just servers, distribution. She shook her head. Did you tell me? No. We thought. She stood up. I need 24 hours. I'll talk to the public myself. Everyone panicked. Don't let PR handle this. Just release a statement. She said nothing. Just walked out. The next day, she went live. No filters, no script. Some of you feel betrayed, and maybe you should. She inhaled. I didn't know where the money came from. I should have. That's on me. I've always said my voice isn't for sale, and I stand by that. She looked into the lens. That's why I've returned the funding. Every cent. We're moving Echo Room to community ownership. No investors, no strings. She paused. But let me also say this. You can question me. You can criticize me. But don't use my mistake to silence the kids who finally dared to speak. They didn't ask to be part of a scandal. They just wanted to be heard. Then she clicked off and cried because even truth felt heavy when it lived inside shame. But what happened next surprised her. Hundreds of Echo artists began posting their stories, not defending her, but thanking her. You gave us a stage when no one else did. We stand by Echo, not because it's perfect, but because it's ours. Ania wrote, you told me to keep my voice steady. Now I'm telling you the same. And slowly, trust returned. Not through headlines, but through healing. Echo Room, relaunched fully open source, donation-based, community moderated. A global, choir. Unpaid. Unscripted. Unstoppable. N. Though the noise of the world returned the gossip, the doubt, the brands trying to steal a piece, stayed rooted. One night, after a long mentorship session, she got a message, a voicemail. An old friend, the host of the original show where she had been set up. He had been fired long ago. The industry had chewed him up, but his voice was humble now. Hey, I saw what you built. I was wrong that day. I thought you were a joke, but your voice shut me up. I've started teaching music at a shelter. Just thought you should know. She smiled. Full circle. Again. Not revenge, but redemption. And it reminded her, when they laugh at you, they expect silence, but when you sing back with truth, they freeze every time. And that's power. Winter came early that year, and with it, silence. Not the kind that hurts, but the kind that heals. She had moved back to her hometown. Not for good, just for a while. A quiet apartment above a bookstore, the same bookstore she used to sit in when no one would talk to her. The owner still remembered her. You were the girl always humming near the poetry shelf, he said. She smiled. Still humming, she replied, but inside she wasn't sure. After the Echo Summit, the donations had dropped. The platform was running, but slowly. Some of the original artists had gone back to their lives, and some had disappeared. She didn't blame them. Pain wasn't a performance. Not everyone wanted to keep telling their story. She understood. But something kept pulling at her, a restlessness, as if something was unfinished. Every day, she opened her email, expecting something, anything. One day it arrived, a message from a small-town school. Subject line, we need you. The email was from a teacher named Mrs. Bennett. We don't have a music program. She wrote, budget cuts. But one of our students showed me your video, the one where you said your voice was once a whisper. She hasn't stopped singing since. I think she believes in herself because of you. I don't know how to ask this, but would you come here, even once? She read the message 10 times. Then she packed her bag. When she arrived, the school was small. Old bricks, faded walls. But the kids, they were waiting. One of them was standing near the entrance, shy, holding a notebook. Are you her? The girl asked. She nodded. I guess I am. The girl didn't say anything else. Just opened her notebook and showed her lyrics. Raw, honest, broken, and beautiful. They sat on the grass outside and worked on them together. Every line had pain in it, but also hope. Your rhymes sound like fists and flowers at the same time, she told her. The girl smiled wide. That's how I feel inside, she whispered. Over the next few days, she stayed. She didn't plan to, but something about the town felt like a place she needed to be. Not as a star, just as someone who understood what it meant to be ignored. She held small sessions in the library, showed them how to use sound from walls and pencils when instruments weren't there. She told them rhythm was already in there. Bodies in, their steps, their heartbeats, their breaths. Then one night, it happened again. They tried to break her. A video leaked, an old one from years ago, before the fame. Before the first show, she was in a garage, singing something she never meant to share. It was raw. She missed notes, forgot words. At one point, she even cursed herself and stopped mid. Someone had recorded it secretly. Back then, she had trusted someone she shouldn't have, and now it was out. People mocked it online. This is the real her, and she thinks she's an artist. Echo Queen, more like Echo Method, trended for hours, and she shut off her phone. But that night, someone knocked on her door. It was the same girl, the one with the notebook. She was crying. I saw the video. She whispered, they're being so mean. Are you gonna stop singing? She looked at the girl for a long time, then shook her head slowly. No, she said, because that version of me in the garage. She was trying. She was scared, but she didn't stop. The girl blinked. It's okay to sound bad, she nodded. It's okay to sound real. The next morning, she went back to the school and asked for the old auditorium keys. Dust covered the seats, lights barely worked, but the echo, it was beautiful. She stood center stage and hit record on her phone. No mic, no production, no edits. Just her and the air. She sang the exact same song from the leaked video, but this time, she didn't stop halfway. When she posted it, she wrote one line. This is who I was, and I'm not ashamed. The video didn't just go viral, it became a movement. #before the Polish.artists. Everywhere began posting their earliest, roughest, rawest performances, clips of them fumbling, breaking, restarting, and fans loved it. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. Even celebrities joined in. Famous singers showing their first attempts, their rejections, their fears. Suddenly, being imperfect became powerful, and through it all, she stayed grounded. She had turned a mockery into a mere one that showed millions they weren't alone. The school invited her to stay longer. She helped them build a soundproof booth out of old supplies and foam. She taught the students how to record with free apps. They released a group track on Echo Room titled We Sound Like This. It topped the community chart in 3 days. No auto-tune, no label, just voices. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. She got an email from a private address. Simple text, we've been watching, your voice still has value. Name your price. She ignored it. 2 days later, another message, this time from someone she once worked with. I know they're reaching out to you. Be careful, this isn't just about a label, it's bigger. She replied, what do they want? The answer chilled her. They don't want your music, they want your silence. That night, someone broke into the school studio. Nothing was stolen, but every file was deleted. Every recording, every project, gone. The students were devastated. One cried, why would someone do this? She didn't answer, because she knew it wasn't about the school. It was about her. Someone out there didn't want her. Empowering others, didn't want the unpolished truth to go mainstream. Didn't want kids believing. They didn't need permission to be powerful. She made a choice. The next morning, she told the school she had to go. They didn't understand. Some thought she was quitting. Some even got angry. You said, we mattered. But she knew she couldn't protect them from the shadows if she stood still. She needed to face whoever was trying to silence her, and to do that, she had to return to the very place she thought she'd never go again. The city where it all began. Where the first setup happened. Where the fake audition turned into a frozen room. She packed her bag. And for the first time in months, she packed her fear too, because this time she wasn't walking into a trap, she was walking into battle. One where her only weapon was her voice. The city hadn't changed, but she had. The streets were still loud, still rushed, still gray. But now, she walked through them with eyes wide open. No headphones, no hiding. Her footsteps echoed the same way they once did, only now. She didn't fear the echo, she welcomed it. She went straight to the place it had all started, the studio. The one where they first told her she was just a test voice, where they had set her up in front of a fake panel. The doors were locked now, new signboard, new management. But inside, the walls still remembered her cry. She pressed her hand against the brick. For a moment, she could hear that night again, the hush, the cruelty, the stunned silence. When she sang, she took a breath and walked away. She hadn't come to haunt the past. She came to confront the present. That night, she checked into a small apartment near the heart of the music district. She turned on her old tablet. It still had backup files, recordings, early drafts, Echo Room prototypes. She spent hours restoring. Well, she knew someone had tried to erase her, but she still had pieces left. And sometimes, pieces were enough to rebuild. Then came another message. This time, it wasn't anonymous. It was from him, the executive. The man who once called her forgettable. The man whose company now ran the biggest talent show in the country. He invited her to a closed panel showcase. Not as a contestant, he wrote, as a guest judge. Redemption is profitable. She almost deleted it. But then a second message followed. The winner has already been chosen. I'm just giving you a seat. Take it, or stay forgotten. She accepted, not because she wanted revenge, but because she wanted the truth. To walk into the same room that once laughed her out. The panel room was elegant. Lights, cameras, a dozen. Crew members whispering instructions. The other judges were glossy, styled, paid to smile. When she walked in, they barely looked at her. Just another inspiration token. One of them murmured. But the executive smiled. You're finally where you belong, he said softly. She replied, not because of you. He chuckled. Of course not. You got here the hard way, but pain sells too, you know? She didn't respond. The showcase began. Singer after singer walked in, voices that were technically perfect. Sharp suits, practiced confidence. But something was missing. She leaned forward, listening, not for notes but for truth. Then a girl walked in, 16, nervous, holding a folded piece of paper. Her voice trembled when she introduced herself. I wrote this last night. I don't know if it's good. The other judges exchanged glances. One rolled her eyes. She watched silently. Then the girl sang. It wasn't flawless, but it was real. Raw, and halfway through the second verse, she recognized the melody. It was hers. Not stolen, not copied. Inspired. She had posted the same chord structure years ago on a forgotten blog back when no one followed her. The girl had taken it, molded it, and made it her own. When she finished, the room was quiet. One judge said, "It's too amateur." Another said, "Not stage ready." The executive leaned back, watching her. "Your vote," he said. She looked at the girl, and then stood up. "I'd like to sing with her," she said. The room stiffened. "That's not the format." The host stammered. "I'm not here for your format," she replied. "I'm here to echo back what she just gave us." She walked down the stage. The girl's hands trembled. "Am I in trouble?" she whispered. "No," she replied. "You reminded me why I started." They sang. No instruments, just harmony. Two voices, one that had been bruised, one just learning to rise. When it ended, the room didn't clap. They stood, all of them. Even the judge who rolled her eyes. Even the executive, though his smile faded. He leaned forward later and whispered, "You just broke the system." She answered, "Good, I hope it never heals." That night, she walked out of the studio. No contracts, no backstage photos, no fake praise. But something had shifted. Not in the industry, in her. She had made peace with the place that once tried to bury her. And this time, she left on her own terms. Back at her apartment, her inbox flooded. Not with deals, but with voices. Teens from villages, mothers in kitchens, homeless poets, with broken headphones, all sending voice notes to Echo Room. Some just a few seconds, some shaking, out of breath, but every one of them singing. One message read, "I thought my voice didn't matter, but then I saw you sing with that girl, and now I believe again." She smiled through tears. The movement had returned. Not viral, not trending alive, but as she scrolled, one final message appeared. No sender. Just audio. She pressed play. A deep artificial voice began. "You were warned. This is bigger than you understand. Echo Room cannot survive. If you continue, we will come not for your songs but for your silence." The file ended in static. Her hands went cold. Not from fear, but from clarity. This wasn't just about music anymore. This was a war against the power of unfiltered expression. And if someone was trying this hard to shut it down, then she had to fight twice as hard to keep it alive. She stared at the message long after it ended. The words weren't just a warning. They were a threat. Cold, calculated. But there was something even more disturbing. The voice, it wasn't real. It was synthesized, digitally created. That meant someone didn't want to be traced. Someone with access to tech, resources, and fear. She played the message again, this time through her old software. Echo Room's early builds had tools to strip layers from audio. It had once been used to clean up background static. Tonight, it became her shield. Within 5 minutes, she isolated a signal, a code embedded in the file. GPS metadata, just one slip, but enough. The file came from a server in London, encrypted. But she had a contact there. Mira, a former audio engineer turned whistleblower. They hadn't spoken in 4 years. Not since Myra left after exposing a record label for manipulating votes on music shows. But some silences are only waiting to be broken. She messaged her the code, and one word, help. An hour later, Mira replied, "Meet me in 2 days. Don't bring devices, they're watching." She flew to London on a night flight, alone, no team, no glam, just a single notebook in her bag, filled with handwritten lyrics, some torn at the edges. When she landed, she didn't post, didn't check in. She waited near a small bookstore in Camden, where music played from old speakers and nobody cared who you were. Mira appeared in a hoodie, looking thinner, older, but her eyes were just as sharp. "You look like a storm walked through you," she said. "One did," she replied, "and I didn't duck." Mira took her to a flat filled with wires, old hardware, patched monitors. "You weren't supposed to survive Echo Room," Mira whispered. "They buried you deep. But then your voice came back, and they panicked." "Who is they?" she asked. "Follow the silence," Mira replied, "not the noise." Over the next few hours, Mira showed her files. Echo Room had been on a blacklist. Corporate, government, industry giants. Because it didn't just amplify voices, it exposed how they filtered them. It proved that raw emotion, unpolished truth, could beat perfectly packaged lies. And now that she was reviving it, someone wanted to shut her down permanently. "Won't kill you," Myra said. "They'll discredit you. Say your voice is AI. That you're a fraud. They've done it before. But this time, you fight back loud." "How?" she asked. "One final echo." Mira said, "Global, unfiltered. Real time." Mira handed her an old transmitter and a list of pirate radio networks still operating under the radar. "You sing into this? They all hear. No edits, no cuts. Just you." She hesitated. "What if no one listens?" Mira smiled. "They will, because this isn't just about a girl with a voice. This is about every person who's ever been laughed off a stage." That night, they set it up. No lights, no fancy mic, just a rooftop, a cold breeze, and a world waiting below. She looked at the transmitter, then at Mira. "This might end everything, or start something bigger," Mira replied. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and began. Not with a speech, not with a cry, just a hum, a single note. It traveled down wires, into illegal frequencies, bounced off stolen satellites, and entered kitchens, bedrooms, buses, fields. People paused. Some looked at their radios. Some thought it was a mistake. Then the hum turned into words. She sang about being mocked, about standing alone on a fake stage, about the silence that froze a room, about finding others in the dark. She didn't hit every note. Her voice cracked once, but no one turned away. In a small house in Karachi, a blind girl listened and clutched her recorder tighter. In a cabin in Brazil, an old man wept, remembering the lullabies his wife once sang. In New York, a teenage boy who had been told his voice was too soft began to record his own. In the very building where she was once humiliated, an intern secretly broadcast her signal to the giant screens in the lobby. They tried to shut it off, but by then, the sound had escaped. It lived in the air. After 7 minutes, she stopped. No goodbye, just silence. But this time, silence didn't mean defeat. It meant power. Mira took the recorder and said, "Now we watch." Over the next few days, she received no news coverage, no headlines, nothing viral. It felt like it had disappeared. But then, the videos started. Not of her, of others, singing, humming, sharing stories, under the hashtag real voice. And then came the letters. From teachers, from prisoners, from stage cleaners, from forgotten dancers. "Because of you, I sang in front of my mirror today. My son posted his first poem. I recorded my mother's lullaby before she forgot it. I sent a song to my father, who hadn't heard me sing in 12 years. Then came the one that broke her, a handwritten envelope, no return name, just a note inside. I was in that fake audition room. I laughed because I was scared. Of you, of your courage. I haven't sung since that day, until now. I hope one day you can forgive me." She closed her eyes. Tears didn't fall this time. They just stayed there, soft, warm, full. She knew now. It wasn't about applause or revenge. It was about giving the world permission to be loud again, to be honest, and now. She wasn't alone. Echo room was no longer hers. It belonged to everyone who had something to say, and no one, not a corporation, not a system, not a threat could silence all of them. Months later, she stood on a different stage. Not a contest, not a show, just a small circle of singers. Under a bridge where the acoustics were perfect and no one cared about fame, a girl asked her, "Do you still get nervous?" She nodded. "Always. But why do you still sing?" She looked out into the night, then back at the girl. "Because I remember what it felt like when they made me a joke. And I remember how I answered." The girl smiled. "With your voice?" She smiled too. "No," she said. "With truth, and truth sounds like singing, even when it's scared." As the moonlight fell over them, voices rose once again. Not perfect, not polished, just human. And that was the most powerful sound of all.